Welcome to Uncaged, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Adam Lurie. Hey, Adam, how are you?
Hey, Ben, doing well. How are you?
I'm very, very well. I'm excited to talk to you today. Adam has had an extraordinary career. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of Torch.AI. It makes data easier to use by humans. Their software changes the paradigm of data and digital workflows, forever solving core impediments caused by the ever-increasing volume and complexity of information. And so Adam's at the forefront of the machine learning world, but certainly he's had an amazing career as a executive at a lot of different digital media companies. And we'll talk about all of the things that he's done on the tech side. He's also an advisor, an investor. So he knows a little bit about everything. But before we get into everything with Torch.AI, Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
Yeah, Ben, I feel like my career has just, it's been an incredibly interesting journey. Never expected it to take the path that it ended up taking. But after 20 years, you sort of wake up and say, man, that's been quite an adventure. When I graduated college, I began my career as an investigator. Working on behalf of the U.S. government, and believed that I had sort of a calling and a mission to truly focus on some of the national security problems that existed today. I got my master's degree in criminal justice public policy, and that was the path that I was planning on going on. So after about 10 years of working in that field, one of the things that really irked me and got to me was the lack of technology and use of digital data and analytics in some of the issues and domains and problems we were working on. And so I joined so this sort of began the next phase of my career, where I joined a social media analytics firm and focused on using open source data for risk. And since that time, it sort of has taken me on this path where we combine data and technology and entrepreneurship and speed, all for the common good. And so that's sort of been the second half of my career is really focused on technology and data.
Yeah, and in some ways, I would say that perhaps your sense as an investigator probably drives your digital data sense as well. So tell me how that's being applied now with Torch.ai.
Yeah, so Torch.ai's fundamental capability enables individuals and enterprises to get the most out of their information for analysis. So if you think about all of the data that is being created and generated by enterprises, all of this information lives and exists in different data sources, in different data stores. And every company and every executive runs around their organization saying, how can I get the best information, the best analysis from that information? Well, step one is you have to grab the information. And so that you have to put it together. You have to stick it into a data warehouse or a data lake somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's expensive, it's timely, it's costly. And so what Torch.ai has done has created a capability that pulls the relevant features from all of the source authoritative data stores and mm-hmm. presents that information and facilitates it for analysis. And so when we think about, it's kind of my background and the insatiable desire to get information out of our data, that's what Torch.ai does. It leverages machine learning to facilitate analysis and understanding from your data.
That's great. I know a little bit about the machine learning world. I mean, I did a little bit of work with advertising and how advertising groups are applying machine learning information. And at the time when I did my doctorate, the challenge was that the quality of the data by a lot of companies was really incomplete, and so even if you applied the best models, sometimes the results were quite challenged. And I know that the thinking on that topic continues to evolve. I'd just be curious how you guys approach maybe incomplete data sources and all of those fun challenges.
Well, all of your data is incomplete
Yeah.
because all of that, there's no way to get to a perfect data set because you're going to be asking a different question based on that.
Yeah.
So when I think about big data problems or questions, I sort of break it down into three pieces. Do you have the data? Any
Mm-hmm.
data? Do you have analysis, some sort of analytical capability? And then do you have some sort of visualization or alerting or front end, some way for a consumer to actually see that information and those insights? But the most important part about combining those three things is that providing an outcome for the
Mm-hmm.
consumer or the enterprise? Otherwise, all it is technology, all it is data, all it is a flashy dashboard. But is it truly providing an outcome for the individual?
Yeah.
And so I compare this, to the early days of web searching.
Mm.
Why did Google and Yahoo, why did they win? It certainly wasn't because the consumers understood what algorithms were the best. They just made it easier for the consumers to find the information they're looking for.
Yeah,
So
we had a whole bunch of players back then. Alta
that's
Vista and
right.
Lycos, all those crazy things. You're right. Yeah, no, I think that's a really great point, and making it truly actionable and meaningful. I think a lot of times it just seems like we just repackage and the information and it's just the same stuff. And so really kind of providing insights that can be acted upon is spectacular. So tell me, I mean, I feel like one of the benefits of the last couple of years was that any of those executives that were perhaps slow adopters or naysayers in boardrooms around the world on the use of these types of technologies finally got outvoted. Finally, right? They finally got outvoted. And so tell me what you guys are finding in the marketplace, and what is the real strongest use case these days.
Yeah. So when you think about how commercial organizations um, make their decisions, they make them based on the bottom line and based on whether or not a product or a capability is going to help the bottom line and the mission. Now, the mission obviously changes based on whether you're in manufacturing or retail or healthcare, but increased performance in AI and projects related to data will save cost, it will improve speed, and it will protect data in a more secure fashion. And so when we talk about, why a company like Torch.AI, if you're able to process information at a 10 times speed of a system or capability that you're using today, that helps the organization's bottom line. If you're able to secure the information or keep it or process that information in a more secure fashion, it mitigates and manages the risk, which again goes towards that bottom line. And so we think about the use of technology as and the use of a platform like ours as a thing that specifically helps the goal and mission of the enterprise and focuses on their outcomes and objectives.
I like that. I like that a lot. I can't tell you how many presentations I've been in with various platforms where they try to outline the beauty of the technology and don't focus on the outcomes, and so it's refreshing to hear that focus.
No, as I say, that's why people buy things. They buy things because it's making their lives easier in whatever their motivations are. They're not buying things because the technology may be a little bit better, the code may be written better, the model may be better. It's not why they buy things. They buy things because it helps what they're trying to accomplish.
So, Adam, let me change gears a little bit. I mean, I know that you started at Torch relatively recently, but we've all been living through the last couple of years, and it's been a moment for everybody. And I really am asking folks now, what kind of learnings did they get from that moment, and how are you seeing that being applied in business today?
Yeah, I mean, there's some of the obvious ones around the ability to work remotely, skills around managing workforces remotely have clearly been a major theme over the last couple of years. But I actually have a core belief that we've lost a little bit of the human interaction over the last few years, which helped make businesses and organizations and enterprises move forward.
Mm-hmm.
There's just uh, a different way to solve problems when you're sitting in a room with someone versus when you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at them over a screen. It doesn't mean we shouldn't leverage the ability to work efficiently over Zoom, but we also can't forget that we are humans, and humans are designed to be sort of a collective group of people, and we like sitting in the same room with individuals. And I spent a lot of time thinking about some of the challenges that I have encountered over the last couple of years in COVID, and would some of them have been solved if we were in the same room together in lieu of over a screen. Um, as hopefully, knock on wood, we are coming out of sort of the quarantine phase of the pandemic and into more of a business as usual phase. We'll be able to see if that's truly a reality.
Yeah, it's such a good point. It would be hard for me to argue that I had a drop in efficiency during COVID. I would say, if anything, we learned how to work more efficiently than ever before. But you're absolutely right. There are certain challenges and problems and misunderstandings, and even I would say some of the areas where you're trying to innovate, where it's just important to be together. Absolutely. And I think really one of the points you just made is that we can't forget we're humans. And guess what? Humans aren't necessarily perfectly efficient. And
Oh no.
and guess what? I would argue that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay, right?
that's
So
right.
I mean, some of the most intelligent people I've ever known and the most successful people I know are wildly efficient when they're on to something, and extremely inefficient with their time and everything else when they need that downtime, basically,
Yeah,
right?
no,
So
I'm just the way that I work. I'm a huge believer in the whiteboard. It helps me. I have a big whiteboard in my home office, and I can't tell you how many times I would find myself being on a Zoom call, and I'd point to my whiteboard and go, "Don't you see what I wrote up there?" And of course they can't. But pre-pandemic, we would have had that exercise together.
yeah.
And now it just became a guy sitting in a home office, mapping out something that no one can see.
Yeah, you and your Wilson volleyball, you're talking to,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
So listen, Adam, as you look out into 2022, what are you guys focusing on?
Oh, we are. We expect some rapid growth in 22. So we're sort of at the phase of our business where we are going after new verticals, new customers, and not really new capabilities, but truly new verticals and new customers. So when you think about all of the enterprises that deal with complex, messy data and are looking for a solution that makes the integration of that information easier to solve, that impacts every large scale enterprise across every domain in the world today.
Yeah.
And so that's what we are spending our time doing in 22, is identifying the right ones that we can go and make a massive land grab to ensure that people can run their data projects better. One of the sort of themes that we see, that has sort of existed in the last couple of years, organizations have made investments in big data projects. Whether it's they bought tools or they hired people and they said, yeah, we're ready and willing to make an investment. And here they are 3 years later, and they haven't really gotten anything from that. And so now they're starting to turn around and say, we've made a multi-million-dollar investment. We spent time, we spent energy. But again, it gets back to, what is our outcome? What have we actually accomplished? And so we look at that and say, now is the perfect time for us to go in there and say, within a week, we will have a product deployed and a platform deployed that brings forth this information in a way that you've never had it done before.
I love that. One of the things that actually came out when I did my research in the machine learning space, and I was focused very much on the advertising industry, was that even though there are certain areas of marketing that are starting to really dig deep on how they apply machine learning, I'll give you examples like call centers, et cetera. One of the issues was that there had not been much thought around how the use of the technology would change the structure of the operation. And so whilst there was this ooh and ah of the technology, there wasn't but that now makes Susie's job different. And that actually might mean that we don't need John anymore. And, and there wasn't a lot of that. And so I love what you're saying, which is that we're 3 years in, and perhaps, that people aren't seeing it, because I don't know if that holistic thinking has happened yet.
And what a lot of these projects have is they have people, Susie, who is spending time cleaning the data, who's spending the time connecting the data. That's not what you want to spend your money doing. And it's not what Susie wants to spend her time doing. You want to be looking at that information to make decisions, to analyze them, to be able to tell decision makers, hey, look, all of our information tells us this particular insight or analysis. And so that the people become repurposed for that high value function, which is what an organization and an individual wants. The incentives are aligned.
I love it. I love it. Adam, if someone wanted to reach you and learn more about what you're doing at Torch.AI, where should they find you?
Yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn, so you can find my profile on LinkedIn, and you can also reach me via email at adam.lurie@torch.ai. I am, as I like to say, I am here to be found. I'm not hiding anywhere. If people want to have a conversation about myself or what we're doing at Torch.AI, always open to talk.
Well, it sounds like it's a very exciting time at Torch.AI, and you're on to another really exciting project. We've been speaking with Adam Lurie. He's the Chief Strategy Officer at Torch.AI. Torch.AI makes data easier to use by humans. Their software changes the paradigm of data and digital workflows, solving core impediments caused by the ever-increasing volume and complexity of information. It's a brave new world, all powered by machine learning, and Torch is playing a big role in that area. Adam, thank you so much for being on Uncaged, and we look forward to having you back.
Great. Thanks a lot, Ben. Had a blast.
All right. Cheers.